What is going on, WWE fan? It is WWE at Home 219 here with my buddy Aaron once again, and we are here to recap and review TLC that just happened a couple minutes ago on December 16th, 2012. So on the pre-show, we did not watch this. There was a Divas Santa's Little Helper Battle Royale, and going into this, I really didn't have any expectations for anything. I wasn't really caring for it. So we tune into the live show, and they tell us that Naomi wins the Battle Royale. That was very random because we just see Naomi just dancing with Brodus Clay. So the fact that Naomi winning the Battle Royale, she has wrestled before. We saw her on NXT a couple years back, but I'm not really a big fan. I'll give it a D.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't care for the Divas match, to be honest. Yeah, I'll give it a D as well. I just really have nothing to say about that.
All right, so let's jump into the show itself. The first matchup, we'd see Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara take on Rhodes Scholars, and the winners would be #1 contenders and possibly, in my opinion, will face Team Hell No at the Royal Rumble. Now, whenever you see these two, we've seen these two compete multiple times a couple months back before Cody got hurt, and it's always a high-flying, entertaining match, and you throw in some tables in there, and it makes it a very interesting stipulation. It was pretty even throughout the whole time. Both teams worked well together in the ring, but Cody Rhodes would end up putting Sin Cara through a table that was set up on the outside. So Team Rhodes Scholars picked up the victory in a matchup that was pretty good in my opinion. I'll give it a B-.
Yeah, not the way I expected it to end. Kind of very interesting ending, just pushing Sin Cara off the ropes into a table. Pretty nasty fall too.
Yeah, apparently he might got banged up on that. There might be an injury there.
Yeah, pretty close to getting pretty hurt, even if he is pretty hurt. So, but yeah, it was a pretty interesting match. I like Rhodes Scholars, and I mean Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio. I mean, you know how they are. They're high flying selves. Match I'll give it a B- too. I agree.
All right, so the next we would see the United States Championship matchup: Antonio Cesaro facing R-Truth. Now, like I said in my predictions, I think Antonio Cesaro is a great thing going. He's a great heel, and his in-ring ability is pretty solid. Actually, I was very disappointed with this matchup. There wasn't really much to it. Antonio Cesaro got a random neutralizer to win this matchup. I mean, it makes sense for him to retain the title, and it's good to hold him over until the Royal Rumble. But the matchup wasn't that great. Like I said, I'll give it a C.
Yeah, I'll agree with what you're saying here. I felt like every match they have at a pay-per-view is the same. I feel like it's just repetitive. I like that Cesaro retained. I believe that he should have retained. But, yeah, I feel like it's too repetitive, so I'm going to actually give it a D.
Wow.
Wasn't a fan. Too repetitive, and I wasn't actually a fan of the wrestling either.
Yeah, so Cesaro retains against R-Truth. Next, we would see Miz TV, and he would have a little segment and introduce that the three-man band would be there. Now, like we've said in the past, three-man band is totally annoying. And then they went up to the Spanish announce table. Supposedly, they're making up this thing that the Spanish announcers were talking crap about 3MB. Then we'd see Ricardo Rodriguez come out and defend his fellow Espanol members. And then we would see Alberto Del Rio come out and attack three-man band. This could possibly be a face turn here because he did end up teaming up with The Miz and an opponent that would be named later in this show. And I'm pretty intrigued with this face turn by Alberto Del Rio. I think it's a new change because he has been getting stale in his character. So this, I think, in my opinion, is good for the WWE. So I will give it a B just because it's interesting how Del Rio might be turning face.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they needed to do something a little different with Alberto Del Rio because, like Kyle said, he's getting a little stale, he's getting a little boring. But I like seeing him involved in the major titles. So yeah, this could be a face turn. I'm hoping it's a face turn. That would be nice. The fact that they were going to bring out someone new to a partner for the Miz and Alberto Del Rio, I was expecting something better. I mean, yeah, a native of Brooklyn. I mean, sure, but I was hoping maybe like a Mark Henry or a Christian, some sort of return would have been nice to see, but yeah, well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. So I'll give the segment a B- just because I was kind of disappointed on the return, but I do like the Alberto Del Rio possible face turn.
All right, so this would then lead us into the Intercontinental Championship matchup. There's no stipulation here. It was Kofi Kingston facing Wade Barrett, and this would be the first time we'd see a title match between the two. It was pretty intriguing. In my opinion, there was a couple botches, though, by Kofi Kingston. He didn't look as crisp as he always did. Kind of like the United States matchup. I was a little disappointed with it, but it makes sense for Kofi to hold on to the title. Kofi would end up getting a Trouble in Paradise to defeat Wade Barrett in a matchup which was a little better than the United States Championship. I'll give it a C+.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of botches from both. I also saw Wade Barrett throw up a couple botches. Thought the match, I mean, it was a little bit sloppy. I liked them. I liked that Wade Barrett was getting involved with the Intercontinental.
Yeah.
I figured Kofi would win just because, I mean, I feel like they're just going to elongate this a little bit. Yeah, but I thought the match was pretty sloppy. But then again, I think it was a little bit better agreed with the United States Championship, so I'm going to give it a solid C.
All right. So then the next thing we'd see CM Punk in his press box, basically sporting a new shirt that would say knees to faces. Pretty creative in my opinion, but I am not a CM Punk fan, so I will not be buying that t-shirt. It was basically, once again, a promo to be talking about how he has nothing to do with the Shield and all that. Same shit that we see every Raw. I'll give it a D.
Yeah, I mean, I felt it was actually kind of pointless. I mean, yeah, you like having CM Punk involved in the pay-per-views, even if he's hurt. But, I mean, again, it was just something really repetitive. I really didn't see the point. I mean, I love the shirt personally. Granted, I don't like what CM Punk's doing right now. I don't like this little respect thing they got going, but I love that shirt. Being a big Rock fan, that shirt was kind of funny and kind of made me laugh. But other than that, I felt like it was completely pointless. So I'm going to actually, yeah, I'll probably give it a D as well.
So then we would then move into the first six-man tag TLC matchup, and it was freaking intense, and it was going beyond PG era. This is wrestling we saw in the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression area. This was definitely the best match, and it stole the show. We were just seeing people go through barricades, people going through tables, Seth Rollins showing some high-flying ability, getting tossed through some tables. Honestly, it was the best match of 2012, and ever since I've started watching wrestling in 2010, I would say it's the best match that I've seen in my being a fan of the WWE. It's an A+. Honestly, nothing can top it. The Shield would end up defeating Team Hell No and Ryback.
I predicted earlier that this is going to be the most entertaining match, and I mean, it exceeded expectations. I mean, just the high-flying ability of Rollins and Ambrose, and just the back and forth, and just showing, not are they good wrestlers, but they're good actors. They're characters you can become attached to. If the group was just phenomenal, just everything they did, and I'm pleased that they won. I would have been very angry if they would have lost. I think that would have killed the entire vibe of this group, and I feel like this group has the potential to bringing back what we saw back in the day with the tag teams of Christian and Edge and the Hardy Brothers. I mean, I see that potential with these three. The match was, and I would give the match again A++++.
Easily.
I mean, by far best match of the night. By far one of the best matches I've ever seen.
Yep. So then this would then lead us into the Divas matchup, Eve Torres versus Naomi. And like I've seen on a couple articles on Bleacher Report already, it might have not been a smart idea to put the Divas match after that amazing matchup, because this Divas matchup actually showed some athleticism from Naomi, and Eve always puts on a decent show for Divas. And like I said in the past, Divas division isn't what it used to be, but for trying to just throw in this matchup together, it was pretty good for Divas. I'll give it a C.
Yeah, like Kyle said here, putting this after a match that might be one of the best matches we've seen all year. I mean, for how bad the Divas division is right now, that just killed it. But yeah, we saw some potential with Naomi with her athletic ability. Eve, I mean, she's there. But I mean, I'll give it a C. Just because.
So then this will take us to the World Heavyweight Championship matchup, and hopefully the conclusion to this pretty decent feud. Big Show would try to defend his title against Sheamus, and that he would do. It was a very slow-paced matchup, in my opinion. Like I said in the past, Survivor Series and Hell in a Cell, those were my favorite matchups from these two. This wasn't as great as those, but once again, it did the job, in my opinion, to end the storyline. I feel like Sheamus is done with his chances. Knockout punch would end this matchup, and then actually no, it wouldn't end this matchup. Sheamus would kick out of the knockout punch, but then Big Show would bring out this huge chair and end up hitting Sheamus, and that would end the matchup. So Big Show retains against Sheamus in an average match that I'll give a C+.
Yeah, I was hoping I was going to see a consistency what we've seen in Hell in a Cell and Survivor Series between these two. Their styles kind of fit together, and this was a match that I had some high expectations for it. Don't get me wrong here. So, you know, I'm glad that Sheamus lost again too. I felt like Sheamus was going to lose. I think they need to end this feud. This is the third pay-per-view. I'm pretty sure this feud has gone on. It's probably gone on a little too long. Like Kyle said, Sheamus probably needs to be done with these chances for a little bit. Maybe feud with someone else. Not a big fan of the match though. Didn't like the way it ended. Didn't like the slow pace. So I'm gonna actually give it a C-.
Okay. So then we would see the three-man band take on Miz, Alberto Del Rio, and it would be announced that the Brooklyn Brawler would come back. He's a native of Brooklyn, obviously, and he wasn't really known for his wrestling. He was just there for the comical purpose. In my opinion, it was kind of pointless. The only point of this whole thing, I think, is to make Del Rio a face. The match itself, I'll give it a D.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said before, I wasn't a fan of them bringing back the Brooklyn Brawler, the native of Brooklyn. I mean, even Zack Ryder would have been something that I would have liked. I mean, we all heard the fans were going insane about wanting Zack Ryder. That wouldn't have been something I wouldn't have minded either. But yeah, the match in general, three-man band, I don't like any of them. I don't like their abilities in the ring. So like Kyle said, I think this was just to kind of bring in the Alberto Del Rio possibly being a face. So I'm going to give the match actually a D-.
All right, so this will then take us to the main event of the night. The Money in the Bank contract on the line is Dolph Ziggler would take on John Cena, and it is a World Heavyweight and Championship contract in that briefcase. So going into this, I was hoping that Ziggler would grab the briefcase, and that he did. The reason was we would see AJ come out, and AJ would, after Vicky came out first off, and AJ would mimic John Cena's moves, do the five-knuckle shuffle on Vicky or whatsoever. And then we'd see AJ start skipping around the ring, which is kind of sketchy in my opinion, as John Cena's going up to the top to grab the briefcase. He would get knocked off by AJ, and what apparently looks like that AJ and Dolph Ziggler might have been in this the whole time just so Dolph Ziggler can get at John Cena. So in my opinion, this was a pretty solid matchup. A lot of blood was being shared around. It was pretty physical, and in my opinion, it was a solid way to end the pay-per-view. Probably would have liked Ryback, Team Hell No, and The Shield to be the main event, but this did a wonderful job at ending the TLC as Dolph Ziggler retains his Money in the Bank contract in a match that I will give an A-. It did what it had to do, and Cena showed some new moves, and Ziggler is always great in the ring.
Gotta give credit where credit is due. This man did call the AJ kind of, I don't know if you want to call it a heel turn, called it before it was going to happen as we were watching. The match in general, you know, I'm a Ziggler fan. I was very disturbed that his Money in the Bank contract was possibly going to get lost by and taken away by John Cena. I didn't feel like that made any sense, but it wasn't something I was a fan of. I'm glad that Ziggler did retain. This AJ thing is kind of weird now. How he turned on she turned on John Cena. It's kind of weird. But the match in general, Dolph Ziggler, best in-ring competitor I feel in the WWE. John Cena, the face of the company, it was a good match. Yeah, like Kyle said, John Cena showed some interesting moves. Dolph Ziggler, great actor, great sell and everything. A match I'm gonna give a B+. I mean, I felt like they maybe could have done a little more, but I mean, I guess with the whole AJ thing, I mean, I guess I could have done something, but yeah, this match I'll give a B+. Did its job, but I would like to see maybe that Shield match and the show just because of just how fantastic it was.
So honestly, in my opinion, this pay-per-view TLC was the second best pay-per-view next to WrestleMania of the year. It was a great way to end 2012, and which was a rocky year for the WWE, but they ended on a strong note, and they're coming in hot to the Royal Rumble, as we will probably see The Rock return and maybe some hopefully Mark Henrys and Christians. So overall, I will give TLC a B because it was a good holdover pay-per-view, and everybody that needed to retain did, and everybody that deserved to win won the matches.
I agree. I feel that this pay-per-view was the second best pay-per-view of the year. I feel like the Shields match just I don't even know the word I'm looking for.
It gave the WWE hope for the future.
It did that, and it carried. I feel like it carried this pay-per-view and set a big mark, and it it set a big mark for things to come from this group and what more they could do. Because I was telling Kyle earlier, just imagine the Shield in the ring with guys more, I would say, high flying and athletic than Ryback and and Kane. I mean, Daniel Bryan's all right, but those two. So I'll give it a B plus just because I feel the Shields match is going to skew that grade a little bit just because it was one of my favorite I've ever seen. So very interesting pay-per-view. We'll see what's going to happen.
All right, guys. So there's our review. Follow us on Twitter down below. Like and subscribe, and take it easy.